more time when she became the EY World Entrepreneur of the Year, but for the world. I saw the names, almost 50 top entrepreneurs from all over the world. The list of countries is mind-boggling. And she was maybe only one or two women among so many men, and she walked away with the overall prize. It is something truly unbelievable to me, and I felt so proud. I thought God is great, and I truly celebrated to see Madam being recognized and celebrated that way. But I was not surprised, because I knew from day one that she is the one who deserves it, and she deserves so much more. So, Madam Mazumdar-Shaw, we are grateful to you. We are at Amity always so happy to see you in all of your success. We feel in some way part of that whenever you do well, that we are part of you and you're part of us. We are now going to launch a university in Bangalore very soon to come nearer to you. Already the land has been acquired and we'll come to you for guidance. I had mentioned that to you when we had last met. Now we are much further in the plans, and I will come and sit with you to take your guidance. It will be your own university, and please help and guide us in that project also. With these few words, it is a pleasure to have you on, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Chancellor Ashim Chauhan ji. Namaskar, Ashok Chauhan ji, the rest of the Chauhan family. Thank you so much, Professor Sharma, for your very kind introduction. And let me say how delighted I am to be back at Amity University with all the students, faculty, and the trustees. Of course, it's virtually I'm back, because the last time I have such wonderful memories of that day I spent at Amity University during your convocation when you honored me with that honorary doctorate, which I, of course, treasure very fondly. So let me, So let me start by saying how delighted I am. And of course, we are now in a very surreal world. This is a world that we never expected, but it's been forced on us, and we have to respond, and we have to see how we respond in a way that is not going to overcome us, but make us stronger and look at the world very differently. So in this context, I thought I should talk about the environment in the post-COVID world, and I really mean the environment, because whilst COVID-19 has ravaged human population, infecting millions and causing hundreds of thousands of deaths, the one positive outcome was the environmental cleanup that has happened across the globe due to the intense lockdowns that have stopped industrial smokestacks from polluting the air, industrial effluents from polluting the water bodies, and vehicular traffic that contributes to toxic air pollution. So you can see that in all this gloom and doom that we have seen with the pandemic, there is also this one silver lining, which is that our environment has been cleaned up because of the way we have stopped a lot of activities that are polluting. And it's very interesting to note some of the data that I'd like to share with you. For instance, New Delhi, which has always been on a red alert when it comes to the quality of air, has shown a 70% decline in the air quality index readings, as have many other of these cities with very poor air quality. So I think this is something which you must actually note, that despite all the other measures in the past that you tried to do in terms of odd even and doing this and doing that and let's plant more trees, look at what a lockdown has done for Delhi city. It has completely cleaned up the environment, and your air quality index has now come to a level where it is very safe to breathe Delhi air, which it wasn't in the past. China also is a very polluted country in terms of its big cities. And China has reported a 25% reduction in carbon emissions and a 50% reduction in nitrogen oxide emissions, which they have estimated has saved over 77,000 lives over 2 months. As you know, a high level of nitrogen oxide is very toxic. And this actually causes a lot of deaths due to respiratory diseases. And they estimate that just in 2 months, they've probably saved 77,000 lives. I'm sure if we do a similar estimation in India, we would have also saved thousands of lives because of improved air quality. Now, according to the calculation of the World Bank and WHO, air pollution itself costs the global economy $225 billion every year. And it causes 7 million premature deaths every year due to either pulmonary diseases or lung cancer. So you can see the impact that air pollution has on the global economy and on lives. Another notable comment I'd like to share with you, since it applies to all of us and especially in the north, is that Jalandhar city for the first time in 30 years could clearly see the Himalayas. So it tells you how the air has cleaned up so that the Himalayas are now a beautiful sight for citizens of Jalandhar city. The quality of water in the Delhi stretch of the Yamuna river, has vastly improved due to complete reduction of industrial pollutants during the lockdown. So this is also a very, very important noteworthy point. And what is even more noteworthy in the same direction is that the Ganga water at Haridwar and Rishikesh was reported fit for drinking, due to a 500% decrease in sewage and industrial effluents. Now, this is really, really amazing. And what is also important for all of us to remember is that if you look at the satellite image of the world before COVID and now, you will see how clearly it indicates that the air and water bodies have been cleaned up across the world. So, in a post-COVID world, therefore, we must take hope that years of pollution can be cleaned up within months. And we therefore need to sustain this through very, very responsible policies. So just think of what I've said. The pollution map of the world before COVID was very depressing, very worrying. There were alarm bells ringing, and we didn't know how to solve that problem. And yet within a few months, we have seen that these lockdowns have completely removed the pollution from the world. So this should give us hope that if we really want to clean up the world, it can be done. But it needs responsible behavior. For example, a key consideration that I would like to suggest is that we must have a plan for low carbon economic growth, which should be based on adopting renewable energy technologies that reduce our dependence on fossil fuel. And of course, we also have to look at environmentally friendly processes that don't pollute our water bodies and our environment the way it does today. So this is the most important thought I want to leave in your minds. That can we look at a low carbon economic growth agenda for India, and that we base this low carbon economic growth on renewable energy, enzyme technologies, less polluting technologies, sewage treatment, etc., etc. We need to look at these policies that make us behave in a very responsible way. The International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, states that the renewable energy sector employed 11 million people last year. It further states that GDP gains above business as usual can accrue to almost $100 trillion for the world between now and 2050. And it will add 42 million renewable energy jobs. This is the forecast of IRENA. So I think we should, as a country, assess these data points for a country like India. How many new renewable energy jobs will it add? And how much GDP growth will it add by actually resorting to renewable energy? Of these renewable energy opportunities, of course, solar photovoltaic panels and that whole sector is likely to account for a third of the sector's workforce. And this is followed by biofuels, wind power, and hydropower. So the solar sector continues to be the largest renewable energy sector, which will create the maximum number of jobs. But we also must look at these other renewable energy sectors like biofuels, wind power, hydropower, etc., which also creates a large number of jobs, but more importantly, reduces the carbon footprint. And what is even more interesting for me is that women currently represent 32% of the renewable energy workforce. This is globally. India has to look at how do we emulate this number. But this is very interesting because you know that China is the biggest producer of solar panels and solar energy and using solar energy. And 32% of the workforce are women. So this is very interesting data which we must look at very carefully for our country. Now, apart from water and air, which I've talked about, I'm sure all of us are very aware of all the WhatsApp video messages that keep circulating around us, and we ourselves are observing that animals and rare species have got a new breath of life. Dolphins were spotted near Kolkata Ghats. Flamingos have increased in Mumbai, and every city, I'm sure, has seen birds and animals which were never seen before. I know that in my own garden, I'm seeing lots of birds and lots of little squirrels and other animals and monkeys which I never used to see for a long, long time. Now, another thing I want to also caution about is a serious concern that we should have and we should urgently address when it comes to the disposal of all the medical waste that is being now created because of COVID. So COVID, I told you, cleaned up the air and the water bodies and the pollution levels have come down, but we have also added another form of pollution, which is the medical waste in the form of PPEs, masks, and medical supplies that are only going to mount. Because you know that in the post-COVID world, we are going to all use masks. And masks are going to add to that medical pollution, okay? And it is going to add to plastic pollution because we use a lot of, synthetic material in the masks. So we have to be very careful. We should be looking at those kind of things right now. We should be looking at more biodegradable masks. We should be looking at more biodegradable PPEs. These are the kind of innovative ideas that we can think of. I was very happy that many of these large quarantine centers are now using cardboard beds, which can actually be disposed of after the patient is discharged. So I think these kind of eco-friendly solutions is a huge opportunity for jobs, for entrepreneurship. I want to tell you that I started my entrepreneurial journey as an enzymologist. I started developing industrial enzymes to reduce pollution. Those were in the late 70s, early 80s. And it wasn't the time when people were even concerned about environmental sustainability or environmental pollution. But today, I think it is much more relevant. So I would say to all the young students at Amity, these are very big, important entrepreneurial opportunities in terms of environmental sustainability, and you should think out of the box. Hospitals are also generating 6 times as much medical waste as they used to. Okay, so this is another big problem that we have to solve. So anyone who can actually dispose of medical waste in an eco-friendly way or produce medical supplies and PPEs in an eco-friendly way, it's a huge opportunity and it will help us with this low carbon economic growth that I was talking about. Cities, as I mentioned earlier, are going to generate huge amounts of waste associated with PPEs, masks, gloves, and other disposables. So we must be very, very careful. And if we do not plan for their disposal, okay, we will create another kind of pollution which is even more dangerous than air and water pollution. So we must be very careful. Let's plan now. Let's think now. Let's have policies right now that address all these kind of environmental challenges. So what do we need to do in India? Many cities in a post-COVID world are looking at creating large tracts of cycle paths within the cities. This is something we should think about. I think there are a lot of young, our population average age is so young that we should actually think about encouraging cycling in a big way. Okay? And seeing whether we can reduce pollution, because electric vehicles, of course, is another big opportunity, but so is cycling. And this is the time for us to enforce the electric vehicle policy that we've been talking about so long. And to do that, we will have to set up all the charging stations, the charging points. This is the time to do it when there's less vehicles on the road, when we are just beginning to open up. Let's start looking at that infrastructure. That also can create lots of jobs. If we start creating a good electric vehicle infrastructure for the cities and the country, that will create a large number of jobs. And I think that's something which the government ought to look at as a very proactive policy. What COVID has also taught us is that travel and consumption patterns can be reduced significantly. And we as people must be more responsible in our travel and consumption habits that can significantly reduce pollution. So, of course, I know that even airlines are thinking of how can they pollute less with more eco-friendly air fuel. But in addition to that, we must also ask ourselves, do we really need to travel this much? Because look at this. We are having these video calls regularly now, and I'm talking to all of you from Bangalore. Normally, I would have taken 2 flights to Delhi and back. I would have been contributing to pollution and to various other kinds of, in the COVID world, I would have also exposed myself to infection, etc., etc. So we now need to be very judicious and prudent about how much we need to travel and also how much we need to consume. I think we are become a consumer frenzied society where anything and everything becomes a consumption temptation. But I think COVID-19 has also told us and taught us that we don't have to be such a high consumption society. So there's a lot of it that we unnecessarily consume and we waste it many times. So I think we do need to improve our habits of consumption and significantly reduce pollution. We also need to demonstrate responsible behavior towards utilizing natural resources and waste management. The coronavirus is an example of a global risk requiring international coordinated response. And I think now is the time that environmental sustainability also requires the same coordinated effort. All this time, we've also always been fighting about, no, we should not be asked to do this for environmental sustainability. Everyone should. So this is the time when it has to be a coordinated effort, because we've all seen the benefits of an improved environment. We also have to make sure that we waste very little. I think we are a very wasteful society. I remember when I was growing up, when we didn't have that much consumption, we never used to waste anything. We used to recycle a lot. Today, I think we need to develop consumption that is based on recycling. So consume, but recycle. And I think that's the kind of philosophy, those are the kind of technologies we need to apply, etc., etc. COVID-19 is a test case for us to rewire our personal and economic systems towards those that put care front and center. So I think, we need to make sure that we are a very caring society, both for our own well-being in the short term and for our resilience to similar risks in the future. So we have to make sure that we are rewiring our personal economic systems towards caring for our environment in a much bigger and better way. So I will end my comments there, and I would be very happy to take on questions. Thank you.
what a privilege and an honor to hear you, Madam, your highly inspiring words to move the mountains by focusing our attention to environmental friendly technologies and also thinking afresh on how to create a brighter tomorrow on the strength of our change of behavior, both at the personal, social, as well as on our policy level to drive the agenda of sustainability. We really are so grateful to you for raising the concern for the environment. Nature has cleaned air and cleaned river fronts, river body. And I myself feel here in Amity University, when I look at my monitoring station here, the air quality came dashing down to now to the level of 2 point something like less than 5 micron per cubic meter, while the world safe limit is 20. So one could imagine the great benefits that have come from COVID lockdown, but we have to sustain it now with the new normal for our developmental patterns and developmental policy. So there are lots of questions, I'm sure, in the minds of viewers. About thousands plus have been connected to webinar here, and many more are watching us live on YouTube. May I ask Dr. Sanjana Bej, our coordinator, to take up these questions one by one, and let's get the responses from Madam Shaw. These will be very inspiring questions, and I'm sure very thoughtful and inspiring answers coming from our top-ranked scientist, Dr. Shaw. Dr. Sanjana, please go ahead with the first question. Unmute your, yes.
Thank you, Professor Sharma. Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful talk and for your sharing with us your enriching experience. Lots of questions are there in our question answer chat box, and we would like to ask few questions out of them. The first question, which is very important question, which have come across, is from our director of Amity School of Engineering and Technology, Professor Shridhara. He wanted to ask that you are a well-known industrialist across the world for producing biomedical products. What measures have been taken by your organization in minimizing the industrial waste that may lead to pollution?
So first and foremost, that's a very good question. A large part of our manufacturing is the production of biological drugs, and these are in their very nature, these are very eco-friendly products. So these are not chemically synthesized drugs that are often very polluting in terms of their processing. But even when we develop chemically synthesized drugs, we try to see how many enzymatic steps can be used instead of chemical steps. So those are the kind of things we do. Now I think we are also looking at packaging. How do we really reduce the amount of packaging we need, and how do we really start looking at eco-friendly packaging? So those are some of the things we do. And of course, we are a zero effluent company. So we treat all our effluent, and that's again a recycling approach, that we don't let any effluent out into any water body. We actually process, recycle, and treat the effluent and use it internally, either in our gardens or in the boilers or in any area that requires water. So I think those are the kind of steps we are taking at our end. But I think it is very important for us to know that many industries produce huge amounts of effluents which are just sent without treatment into water bodies, very often into the seas or into the rivers. And as I just mentioned, many of our rivers have now been cleaned up because those factory operations have stopped during the lockdown. So before they are allowed to resume, I think we must make sure that they are treating their effluent properly. You see, one of the big problems is that our own industries cheat the system. It's not that the pollution control norms don't mandate that you must treat the effluent, but many of these people don't treat the effluent and they let it out into the rivers. So this is the time that before they open, I think the pollution control enforcement must be done before they are allowed to operate. And if you find that their effluent levels are beyond what is acceptable, you should shut them again. So I think this is what we mean by responsible behavior and enforcement of pollution control norms.
Rightly said, ma'am. Very rightly said. There is one more question from Amity University, Mumbai. Dr. Suryavanshi would like to ask the nature is best modifier. Should we stop genetically modified crops and processed food coming out of those crops to stop negative value chain?
See, first and foremost, there is a huge unscientific debate about genetically modified crops. And this is causing a lot of confusion and misinformation about genetically modified crops. Personally, genetically modified crops are safe. They are not causing any problems, no pollution, nothing of the sort. If you have a discussion and an understanding on the basis of science, you will not ask such a question.
Okay, ma'am, the next question. What post-COVID, what advice will you give to your young professionals to strike balance between sustainability or survival and achieving targets? This question is from our HR Director, Admiral K.K. Pandey, Amity University, Haryana.
So first and foremost, I think we should revive our economy for sure. I don't think we should feel gloomy about that. I, for one, believe that we can revive the economy sooner than later. But the problem is that we need to feel safe. And I am, for one, believe that through a lot of measures, we can get into that safety zone in the next few months. Today, I think everybody is ruled by a fear psychosis. That fear psychosis is about, oh my God, the disease is spreading. Oh my God, there are so many deaths. I think the moment you have treatments that reduce the mortality rates, even if you get infected, I don't think you should worry. Okay. Secondly, please, everyone's waiting for a vaccine, but to get a safe vaccine is going to take at least 12 to 18 months. Are we going to be locked down for 12 to 18 months? No. So we have to learn to live with this virus. And the way to learn to live with the virus is to maintain and adapt and adopt very safe measures like wearing a mask, even wear one of those face shields when you're going in public spaces. And then beyond that, of course, you have to have workplace protocols where people practice hygiene. I'm sure all of you would have seen that because of COVID, we've become a little cleaner nation, I would say. Okay. We used to always teach people how to wash their hands. Now everybody wants to wash their hands. We never used to use hand sanitizers. Now everybody wants to use hand sanitizers. We've even seen that our streets are much cleaner than they used to be because we don't consume so much. So the amount of garbage we are producing also is much less. Now, if we can do that during lockdown, why can't we do that when the lockdown is lifted? So I think we do need to look at that as a method of survival. And then there is a revival. And don't lose heart. Don't get so concerned that, oh, we will never come out of this. We will come out of it very soon. Okay? But it is through responsible behavior. And then I've just mentioned, look at the number of opportunities we have to reinvent our businesses and for entrepreneurs to create new businesses.
I think you said it right, madam. The sustainability, safety, security, they all go together, and growth with sustainability makes a much bigger sense than the growth without sustainability. I think we are moving into the new era where sustainability and growth will go together and will create the bliss of heavens here on earth. And I'm sure we need to commit to that. And the oath we have to take now in the post-COVID era is to ensure that our developmental policies are aligned towards assuring the sustainable development goals also at the same time. I see on the screen our Madam Divya Chauhanji. Very good morning to you, Madam Divyaji, and I'm so happy that you joined our Honorable Chancellor, sir, in this very important, thought-provoking dialogue with Madam Kiran, Mazumdar-Shaw. There are lots of questions. People are asking really that a lot of waste is being generated now because of the use of PPEs and several other medical devices and throwaway gadgets which we have at the moment. We got to be now looking into the ways and means of producing these devices so that they are more environmental friendly and they don't cause the kind of medical waste which will create a hazard. So are there any thoughts in this respect? Is there a thinking going on in the biomedical sector that we need to move towards production systems which will cause the least possible damage to the environment?
Well, we should think about it. I don't have ready answers, but today, even just measuring your temperature using those temperature guns. I mean, if everyone starts buying huge amounts of these temperature profilers, you can imagine the amount of plastic pollution we are going to cause. So, but recycling that plastic is another way of making sure that we don't pollute more.
Another very brilliant question coming from my director, School of Planning and Architecture, is that what should we do to the youth of our country who are in rural area? They are in the search of massive employment opportunity. You have indicated rightly that the energy entrepreneurship, as well as maybe the water harvesting and water treatment technologies, along with the enzyme technology that could create food industries, food processing industries, and also a whole lot of other entrepreneurship could offer. But what should I do now to empower my young, highly energetic, enthusiastic rural youth now, so that new layers of growth and development pattern could be created in India to cause this inclusive growth, which we have been talking about for long? Any thoughts on that?
So, rural India has a large number of opportunities. We just talked about renewable energy, and we talked about solar farms, we talked about wind energy, we talked about hydro energy. I mean, these are things which we should try and do in our rural areas, and that will create a large number of jobs. In addition to that, of course, agriculture is a very important part of our economy, and I think we need to do value-added agriculture in our rural areas, where we actually start vertically integrating our agriculture into processed agriculture. And that's where I think the rural opportunities can be created through different and new jobs. And also we need to look at mechanized agriculture. We need to look at cooperative farms. We need to look at FPOs. All these are very possible. But I think there needs to be a real clear thinking, and it's been done before. It's not like we have to reinvent some model. We have very successful cooperative models, but why have they not been scaled up across the country? We have a very successful farmer-producer organization model. It has worked in many parts of the country. You have to find out why it's not working in other parts of the country. This creates the equitable economic opportunities for our agricultural sector, for our farmers. And then, of course, you need to take it into processed foods and processed agriculture. For instance, biofuels are an outcome of processed agriculture, right? And so these kind of jobs can be created in rural India.
Our Honorable Prime Minister has recently given a call for organic agriculture, organic farming in India.
Lots of things can be done. I mean, there's no dearth of ideas. There's not just one or the other. There are so many opportunities. Organic farming is one. As I said, processing of agricultural waste is another. Then basically growing very cooperative farms is a third. There's so many things that can be done.
But you think our industrial sector would be prepared to shoulder the responsibility of environmental friendly technologies which need to be now put in place?
We don't have an option. We have to, but it has to be enforced. The problem with our system is that there are norms, but we don't enforce them. This is the time to enforce these environmental norms. Because people get away with it. People feel that we don't have to do it. I mean, look at the amount of sewage we have coming into our water bodies. We have a law that says that any apartment block must treat its sewage through a sewage treatment plant before it lets it out into any public stream. But do we do that? There's so many of these apartment blocks that simply put the sewage into water lakes. In Bangalore, I know we have huge problems because all these expensive, they spend so much building these apartment blocks, but they cut corners when it comes to sewage treatment. So why are we not taking action against such people?
You are absolutely right. As per my data, which I have, almost 60% of sewage of India is untreated, and it is directly discharged into our river bodies as well as river streams and water bodies. So this is an area where a lot of investment would be required, new technologies would be required, and I'm very happy to inform that Amity University, Haryana here, taking initiative on the center which we have set up in your name, madam. We have taken the responsibility of rejuvenating the wastewater filled water body in the village nearby, and we are implementing new innovative technologies based on nanoparticles for water treatment. And we are transforming that polluted lake into polluted pond into the freshwater pond, and we are processing the entire sewage as well as the polluted water coming from the village now. So we are in this, and we have taken this project from government of Haryana, and this could be a highly impactful project. We are also looking at how biodegradable masks can be designed, and our scientists have filed some patents on this. I'm really very happy to say that we are greatly inspired by the Affordable Innovation Center, which has been set up in the name of Madam Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw at our university. These are the initiatives I think at national level we need to take in plenty in order to really provide the technologies of the kind which country require. But lots of questions are coming here, and people are asking much more that how somebody has, in fact, Amit Jain has asked, why not we focus on fusion and nuclear technology and produce energy in abundance rather than creating solar energy and then tomorrow running into the trouble of disposing our solar cells, which according to him would cause enormous amount of pollution. Any thought of solar energy as against nuclear energy, madam?
Well, every kind of energy has its own set of risks and benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, nuclear energy is something which the world over has been used as a very affordable and a very efficient energy source. But unfortunately, the risks associated with nuclear plants is also very high. So you have to basically balance the benefits and the risks associated with every form of renewable energy and then take your call. I agree that, solar energy is not as efficient as other forms of energy. But being a country that gets so much solar light and solar energy from natural sunlight, we also should not be, ignoring that. So I think we need to look at all energies, and you need to create an energy grid that is well balanced in terms of all these renewable energies. Nuclear energy, of course, is something which, as you know, even an advanced country like Japan, which was really dependent a lot on nuclear energy, has decided to downscale. And many other countries in the world are downscaling this particular nuclear energy. So you have to really look at it in terms of what will work in India, where even if you want to do nuclear energy, where should you locate it in a safe way, things like that.
You are absolutely right. I'm with you, and I want to share my concern with Dr. Amit Jain that really speaking, we are looking at solar cells today of 17, 18, 20% efficiency. But with the power of science that is about to roll out from here and now, on the strength of nano and bio revolution, it could be possible to have.
I think the biggest challenge of solar energy has always been storage. And if that kind of technology and innovation can be done, I'm sure it will become a very affordable energy form. But I think that's the opportunity. Musk, he's always coming out with really path-breaking ideas which nobody thinks of. We need to come up with those kind of, far-reaching, out-of-box, cutting-edge ideas. And that's what the challenge is. That's what I think science offers to people. Think about science, applying science, and innovate bold new ideas.
Yes. In our Amity University, we are putting all sciences together under the banner of integrative science and driving the agenda of integrative science and interdisciplinary engineering together to create those path-breaking technologies which we require. We are looking at tomorrow where heat can be directly converted into electricity. So that enormous amount of heat which solar energy has, along with light, could really provide us solar cells of 98% efficiency tomorrow. Yeah. Those kind of breakthrough technologies which are on the anvil. I see on the screen our Honorable Founder President, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, sir, who is the leading light of Amity University Group, leading us, in fact, and inspiring us to cause these major breakthroughs, to think of going from 18 to 98% efficiency for solar cell, looking at water technologies which could solve the enormous problem of wastewater which we have in our country, and also give to us millions and millions of jobs on the strength of innovative and inspired minds that are rolling out from the universities in India. In honor of Amity University, we a tremendous amount of attention on innovation, driving the idea right up to the product development and even commercializing it, and also at the same time making India proud of the patenting, so that our intellectual properties are properly protected. A very warm welcome to Honorable Founder President, sir. In this dialogue, we are engaging with our most brilliant scientist of our country, Dr. Madam Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw. The question is coming, Madam, that the healthcare is being redefined, as you already know, by the WHO, that the meaning of healthcare is no longer looking at the medicines or looking at the super specialty hospitals for treatment. The healthcare would be now improving the immunity of people. And our kitchen perhaps is the very best source of immunity for us, because our forefathers have put together so many good quality combinations of spices which create immunity. I, for one, as a Vice Chancellor, never had any fever in my life, except for a brief period of 3 days when a viral tried to attack me, but it went away, saying that no, Vice Chancellor cannot be attacked. Now, all this is possible because of the higher levels of immunity. My mother lived up to 101 years without any medicines. I submitted no medical bill in my life earlier. So that's the position. So now how do I go about creating the new health care for my people on the strength of ever-rising layers of immunity? Of course, fresh water and fresh, good quality air would come a great way to assure immunity, but I need additional support coming from medicines that are coming from the natural.
Primary healthcare, the importance of good public healthcare. So I think all this has come to the fore. And I think as a country, we really need to look into how we strengthen our public healthcare system. For instance, you know that today, all the government hospitals have taken the full burden of treating the disease.
Right.
Okay. And I think it is important that we strengthen our government hospitals, make them up to date, let them have the best of infrastructure, because these are the ones that are really going to be very important for the healthcare system in our country. We've also known that Ayushman Bharat has been focusing on tertiary healthcare, hospital healthcare, but we also know that Ayushman Bharat has to stretch all the way up to primary healthcare. And so it's wellness centers, health and wellness centers that it is planning have to behave as primary healthcare centers. So unless you create the entire continuum of healthcare from primary, secondary and tertiary, you will not get a holistic healthcare. And then we have also understood and addressed the importance of combining Ayurveda, homeopathy, allopathy, and that is the way we have to build our whole ecosystem. So when you say your immunity has to be better, definitely health and nutrition is definitely a very important part of that immunity. Then, of course, making sure that we rely on our own Ayurvedic knowledge to improve that immunity is also very important. Then we also know that when you have a clean environment, clean water, no pollution, it also helps your immunity. And of course, health and hygiene are very important. You know, as a country, the reason why a lot of our slums have actually succumbed to coronaviruses is because our health and hygiene and sanitation is so poor. We also know that many people with comorbidities have succumbed. Why do we get so many comorbidities? Again, because our nutritional system, our healthcare systems are very poor. So I think we have to take all this into context.
You are absolutely right. I did not want to say this loudly, but fact remains that my immunity was greatly improved because I was dying in my childhood because of liver infection. And suddenly my maternal uncle gave me a drop of the milk from a tree called gular. And he dropped me directly on my tongue, and through my nanopore, that medicine worked. After a few days, I became happy and healthy, and I also improved my immunity. So we filed a patent here in Amity University recently, a derivative from the milk of the gular, and how this in fact is able to cure the liver cancer. But the result we found from our scientific analysis that this also significantly improved the immunity. So we filed another patent, and we are looking into now great many such derivatives coming from our herbal medicine. We have a Center for Herbal Medicine as well as Center for Research on indigenous medicine here at our university. So tremendous amount of opportunity lie ahead. The young innovators are watching you, madam, and they are very much looking at you for giving them a hope for a brighter tomorrow in terms of being young innovators rising to the esteem of Madam Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, where they could become high and mighty and earn all the repute as well as glory for Mother India. What advice you have to the young innovators who are embarking upon their own ideas in terms of startups and new enterprises?
So I've always encouraged young minds and young entrepreneurs to really identify problems that they need to solve. Just find any problem that you think you should want to solve and that you're excited to solve. And that becomes your entrepreneurial sense of purpose, your entrepreneurial objective. And that creates the business focus and the business purpose, which will then make you succeed. So I think that's what I look for. I always look for a challenge, a problem to solve, and that gives me the ideas for my next venture. So I think that's the way I would like young people to look at entrepreneurial opportunities. What are the opportunities that you think you want to look at as a problem that the world needs to solve, our society needs to solve, India needs to solve, and you'll get lots of ideas in terms of business or entrepreneurial opportunities.
Dr. Mashelkar, who is the chairman of India Innovation Foundation, is on record to say that India is the land of innovation infinite, and therefore great opportunities exist for young people. My Honorable Chancellor, who is visible on the screen here, is a great motivator for our Amity Amity Innovation Center. So, Honorable Chancellor, sir, would you like to say a few words before we move on?
I just want to say thank you, Professor Sharma. Thank you so much. It's been a really wonderful session, enlightening in so many different ways. And our founder, Dr. Ashok Chauhan, has given a blueprint for all Amity universities and institutions globally that we should have the DNA of research and innovation in everything that we do. And Dr. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, you are a role model of research and innovation. So we're very happy that our founder is now online. I know how happy he was when he heard that you would be addressing it. So I would request our Honorable Founder President now to enlighten us and share his views.
Dr. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw ji, I am so proud, so satisfied, and so encouraged. First of all, Dr. P.V. Sharma, I know why you were so successful, founder director of DCE and the founder vice chancellor Delhi Technical University, that you could encroach on the very busy schedule of Dr. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw ji to be available for all of us on this webinar. I have heard every word of her, chewed it, digested it, and brought in my brain and mind so deep that I never forget it. There were so many very, very valuable advice. My all listeners, we should all learn that with which positive attitude she started her deliberations. And at this time, she has rightly told a positive attitude and the strength to bear this crisis and to think forward is so important. And I think, Dr. Shah, this lesson will always remain in the mind of we all. And you also started telling about the environment. I have a bad habit. When a big person like you comes to my campus, I always make a blast. Last time I made a blast, Amity Center for Dr. Shah, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, for affordable innovation. And today, Dr. Asim Chauhanji and Dr. P.V. Sharma, with your permission, we should make a center for low carbon economic growth. Center for Low Carbon Economic Growth. All my scientists, please start working on it. I think this is the future. You are brilliant scientists, innovative scientists. I'm proud of each one of you, those who are listeners. But this Center for Low Carbon Economic Growth is the important matter for the time. Dr. Sim Chauhanji, would you give your consent, and Dr. B.P. Sharma, would you agree and establish it?
So whenever you give an idea, we immediately follow it. I think all of the scientists and innovators will certainly work on this day and night to make it a reality, inspired by Dr. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw. Thank you for this idea today.
Thank you so much for considering this. It's a very good idea.
Dr. B.
Our heart, and we come with head,
it is very important, I know, because this is the problem which the world will be facing. Dr. B. Sharma, you told in the beginning, asked our Chancellor that you are very clearly visible and have a clear voice. I had a laugh. If Dr. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw is sitting in front of us, the visibility will be good, the voice will be clear. So there is no doubt her personality is so mesmerizing that anybody, either in grief or sad or in a bad mood, will have a clear visibility and clear mood. This is, madam, your charm. And I think, as Asimji told very correctly, that you have a motivation for many fields, for women, for entrepreneurs, for research, and enhancing the image of India worldwide. That is my most important. The prize you got for global entrepreneurship recognition from Ernst & Young made us proud all over the world. I always think that our Indian citizens, are recognized, respected all over the world, that Indians are the best, and you are contributing for that, and I'm so glad for that. You told that 32% of women are in the solar energy area. I think this is a great motivational remark for all my scientists. And I think, Dr. Shah, I have a large percentage of women and lady scientists, and they do sometimes better than my male scientists. So I think today, again, you have got a boost in your motivation that show to the whole world that our women, following the personality, the achievement, the name and fame of Dr. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, we can show to the whole world that even Indian women can really change the world. I would say that you told that about 2 flights. Very right. Dr. P.V. Sharma, CMG, now we should be able to encroach more on the time of Dr. Shah to guide us, to advise us, because coming, going is time consuming. And again, this she has seen as a very positive aspect of Corona. And the other things which she told, they are all. And she told very valuable thing for all my listeners, that I always look for challenges and entrepreneurial opportunities. I always look for challenges and entrepreneurial opportunities. Such a golden word, diamond word. At this moment, no doubt there is Corona, there is a challenge, there is a crisis, but we do whatever we can do. But the opportunities this situation is offering is unlimited. And I tell to all my scientists that go on thinking. Only 2 to 3% or maybe 4% people in the world would be able to assess the opportunities and avail it. I have made a center for this. When I was in West Germany, I made a center mega. In Germany, you say Marktchancen, Einschätzen und Gleichnutzen. This shows that assess the market opportunities and attack immediately. So the similar center, we have made it here. Dr. Sulma Murthy is hearing. He is not on the panel, so that he cannot reply. And with this center, we will show to the whole world. I must tell to all my listeners, so that you know what Amity is, what our most respected Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw is. The former Education Minister of UK wrote a letter to Dr. Atul Chauhanji that a large number of universities in UK would be available for takeovers and for sale. And he recommended to the government that Amity University is a very apt university to help in this situation by takeovers, by collaborations, and by competitive work with them. Why I'm telling it? That what Dr. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw told, each word we should practice, we should follow it, and this is the time. This will never come in our life, or even for 100 years. This is the time, as she rightly told, when she thinks on challenges, the problems, and opportunities. Then she has new ideas for developing new projects, developing the policies for worldwide expansion. So I think each word we should follow, practice, and this will add to our success and the pleasure of each one of us, and we should follow it. Sanjana, you were doing very well. I remember that you went from Amity Institute of Education to Amity University, Haryana, but I'm pleased that after about 15, 20 years of working with us, you are still enjoying your work. All my listeners, please follow each word of Dr. Shah. We will tell you where you can see the recorded version. Those who could not see, I want that my tens of thousands of students, alumni, our partners should listen it once and twice, and then I will talk to them. And what did you learn and what did you achieve? Dr. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, we are so grateful, so thankful. I have no words to appreciate, because you have shown path to us. You have shown the way ahead to us, and that will follow. Again, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, and I enjoyed it very much, and I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Before we close, I need just a couple of minutes to thank everybody. First of all,
Professor Sharma, can I just make a move? I've got another meeting which I have to go to. I'm already late.
We wish to thank you for an eye-opener and thought-provoking presentation, your deliberations which are action-packed. We also wish to thank our Honorable Founder President, sir, for the words of wisdom and for the advice, valuable advice which he has rendered. The Center for Low Carbon Economic Growth would be, in fact, something to which we would be committing today, from today onward, with head, heart, and soul, and will make it a reality in all our Amity universities. I also wish to thank our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. Asim Chauhanji, our respected Madam Divya Chauhanji, respected Madam Chairperson, and to all my fellow Vice Chancellors and very many inspired viewers who are connected to this very important webinar addressed by one of the most illustrious daughter of Mother India, Dr. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw. I will fail in my responsibility if I do not thank Dr. Shodhi and his IT team, including Mr. Vivek Rawat, who is looking after the IT arrangement for this webinar. I really am so happy that the entire webinar has gone without any flaw whatsoever in our IT system. And this is what Amity is known for. Everybody puts in his very best to ensure that we ultimately deliver nothing less than what could be a piece of excellence. So I'm personally thankful to my IT team, including Dr. Shodhi. I also wish to thank Dr. Sanjana Bej and my own team here, a small team with which I'm working these days because of the lockdown, for making this webinar so successful. I'm grateful to each one of you for your questions. Many of them have been taken, but a lot more questions and comments are there on the webinar. And Sanjana, you would be compiling it all together and sending it to our Honorable Founder President as well as Honorable Chancellor, sir, along with the copy of the recorded copy of the lecture of Dr. Mazumdar and the intention that forward. Let me also say that we are very fortunate in our Amity University, Haryana, Founder President, sir, with your blessings and with your visionary guidance. This Amity Eminent webinar series, which we have conceived by the brilliant idea of our highly inspiring leader, Honorable Asim Chauhanji, who asked us to put together about 10 such brilliant names which could be part of this Amity Eminent webinar. And this was the third, in fact, lecture in that series. The first one by Nobel laureate Kailash Satyarthi ji, another one by Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus ji, and today we had the Padma Bhushan Dr. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw. And the next one to follow, in fact, is already finalized. That is Nobel laureate, once again, Nobel laureate of Peace, His Holiness Dalai Lama ji on 26th. And we are also looking at Bharat Ratna and few other eminent people, so that the top 10 which we present to the world through this Amity Eminent webinar are in fact the thought leaders, which will give us in fact a strength as well as hope to create a brighter future for each one of us here in Amity University, universities in India at large, and to the world and global community. With these words, may I take this opportunity to thank all our viewers, especially most respected Founder President Sir, Honorable Chancellor Sir, Honorable Chairperson Madam, and Honorable Dibya Ji, and all those who are connected to this webinar. Thank you so much indeed for your highly valuable time.
If I can, I just want to say one line that the session was very well conducted. Thank you so much, and to your whole team. I was a little bit nervous because Dr. Selvamurthy is online, and I just checked that he is still listening. Normally, he does the moderation for many of these sessions, and he does such an amazing and wonderful job. I was thinking that can we also do as good a job as he does? But Professor Sharma, it has been great. I thank you. I saw many names of so many of our vice chancellors listening at the moment. I saw the names of so many of our HOIs from all of our universities. This shows their great wisdom, that despite their great busyness, that they found the time to be online. So many of our leaders, Dr. Gurinder Singh, so many others, Dr. Balwinder Shukla, many people have been online. Part of the charm of these webinars is that we get to see Founder President. So many people write in that the subject matter was fine, but I was greatly motivated and inspired to see Founder President. So Founder President, we're so grateful to you that you make the time to come and bless so many of our people. And really, you are a great draw to the webinars, and people feel 10 times inspired and motivated to see you. So my thanks, Professor Sharma, to you, the whole team. Wonderful job. Let us keep spreading the knowledge and the motivation to all of our community. And Dr. Atul Chauhan was also online the whole time. I'm grateful to him that despite his busy schedule, that he was there. And Mr. Amol Chauhan is sitting next to Founder President, as he does in all webinars, and he has been helping out. Our chairperson, Dr. Amity Chauhan, despite being very busy, I saw that she was listening in. So to all the senior people of Amity that make time to come to these webinars and listen to all of you and the speakers, I am so deeply grateful. Thank you so much.
We are so grateful to you, sir, and we are so grateful to Honorable Founder President, sir, and all the members of the family of Dr. Ashok Chauhan, Founder President. We are truly delighted that each one of you could bless us on this very important occasion when we had the webinar lecture of Dr. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw. We look forward to each one of you and your words of wisdom at the time when His Holiness Dalai Lama would be in the webinar on 26th. With these words, may I wish you a very happy, healthy time, despite the fact that we are quite concerned about COVID now. But God bless each one of us. And with the blessings of Founder President and his faith in God, I'm sure we are better secured as a family in Amity than perhaps outside. Thank you so much, Founder President, sir, for your blessings.
Dr. Selvamurthy, together with Dr. P.V. Sharma and other Vice Chancellors, start from tomorrow onwards, Amity Center for Low Carbon Economic Growth. Dr. P.V. Sharma, that we should start working immediately on that, and we will be #1 in the all universities to think on that, to implement that, and bring it to success. This is such a wonderful idea, and I'm sure that all my scientists are listening. I just one word about the opportunities. Every day, late evening, I have a meeting of A7 group. You know the G7 group, and we just brainstorm what are the opportunities, and therefore I request to everybody to think deeply what are the opportunities, and later on I will contact to each one of my Amity person to let me know what is his or her suggestion for the future opportunities, because world is changing, and these opportunities we should utilize, we should catch down, and we should make through that Amity University #1 in the world and make India a superpower. So please think on the opportunities. Everyone will be asked by me to give me 2, 3, 4, 5 points, and therefore this seminar also has motivated me. Dr. P. Sharma, once again, thank you very much for wonderful conducted seminar.
We are grateful
Founder President, if I
your
can
continued patronage and your blessings.
Founder President, if I can request, I have just requested Dr. Selvamurthy to be also made a panelist. Just 2 seconds, if we can wait for him to come, and he can also say to you, yes, that he will also be part of this and do it. I think within 1 or 2 seconds, he should. There he is.
Yes,
Dr. Selvamurthy.
I have been.
Yes.
Heartiest congratulations, sir, for this wonderful webinar. And I enjoyed every moment like founder president. I was also sitting all through listening and imbibing every message which is coming from every one of you. It's so well conducted webinar, and also we had a very distinguished person. Now this low carbon economy, economic development is very, very important mission. But this is going to open up like a lighthouse to other parts of the world, that Amity will be, because the Chancellor has already initiated sustainability in all our campuses, because right from US, Presidio, you have mentioned sustainability, and this is the mission founder president. Now he has given low carbon, sustainability, how we can also lead to sustainable development through that growth, economic growth and development, keeping the low carbon. So we will initiate, sir, and founder president, sir. Once you give a message to us, in Amity, it gets translated immediately, like a supersonic speed or hypersonic speed. We translate that into an action and will be implemented. And every minute of this webinar was organized so well. My compliments to you, sir, and particularly Chancellor and the Vice Chancellor, who have done a wonderful job. Thank you so much for this opportunity to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Silvamurthy, sir, for your words of guidance right at the beginning when we are formulating or conceptualizing the Center for Low Carbon Economic Growth. Very important. Sustainability, of course, would be the major foray as far as the initiatives and innovative rolled out from this center. Yes.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you to all. Thank you to all.
Thank you so much indeed, sir. Thank you. Grateful to you, Founder President, sir. Grateful to you, Honorable Chancellor, Honorable Dipya ji, Honorable Chairperson ji, and Honorable Atul Chauhan Sahab, Honorable Chancellor AUP. I'm sorry I could not see the whole grid in front of me, but I'm sure your guidance and your visionary guidance would be available to us all the way through. Thank you so much, Amol ji, also, and thank you to each one of the member of the illustrious family of Dr. Sokhi Chauhan family. Thank you so much, sir. Such a great privilege and honor it was. Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.